Hi, my name's Todd Burns and I'm a member of the Broadhead chapter of Trout Unlimited. Trout Unlimited is an organization that's dedicated to preserving and conserving the cold water resources. And since the Broadhead chapter is located in Monroe County, we like to do that in our beautiful Monroe County waters. And we're here at Cherry Valley National Wildlife Refuge with beautiful Cherry Creek running right through it, which is a great place to go trout fishing. And specifically, I like to fly fish. Fly fishing is one of the many ways that you can fish in the Poconos, and it's a great way to get outdoors.
Hi, my name is Eric Gustav, and I'm a member of the Broadhead chapter of Trout Unlimited here in the Pocono Mountains of northeastern Pennsylvania. I'm going to go over the fly rod parts with you now. We have an 8-foot, 6.5 weight. It's a good all-around fly rod. There's many types of different weights of fly rods, but this is a good one if you're just getting started out. This is going to have all kinds of features available to it, from dry fly fishing to nymphing to light streamers, wet flies, just a little bit of everything. And here we have what's called the rod blank. This is the actual stick part of the rod, if that's what you want to call it, that you're going to wave around. Load the rod, to load the fly line, to cast the fly out there. Basically, that is what is going to send the fly out. It's basically a spring. And here we have the fly line. This attaches to the leader, because this bright fly line is going to spook the fish if they see it. So you're going to need to have this piece of nylon attached to it for a little bit of stealth. And when all of these are combined, the fly rod blank is going to spring load that fly line, and the fly line is going to be the weight that sends the fly out, because the fly is virtually weightless. It's not like a spinning rod where you're casting that weighted lure. This, you have to spring load the rod, which will load the line, which will then unfurl the leader and send your fly out, hopefully landing on the water very quietly. Talk a little bit about casting the fly rod and how we're going to get our fly out onto the stream. And in order to do that, we need to realize that a fly is weightless. And it's not like a spinning rod again where we're casting out that weighted lure on weightless line. It's the polar opposite with a fly rod. We're using a weighted line with our light leader to gently place our fly on the water. And in order to do that, we need to spring load the rod, and that's where the fly cast comes into place. In order to do that, what we like to do, and this is the traditional method, we like to keep our elbows locked, almost as if we're holding a book underneath it, hooked against our side, and we want to keep our wrist locked. And we're going to basically just, it's a slow start to a fast finish. You want to bring that fly rod up to a pause, and then you want to bring it forward to 2 o'clock. So a 10 o'clock and a 2 o'clock. Bring it back to a 10, and then we're going to bring it back down. And that's going to roll it out. And you want to give yourself that pause on the back cast and forward cast, because that's when the fly line, you're going to feel it load the rod in either direction, and that's going to keep your loops. You want that nice tight loop as you're going in and out for a nice gentle presentation to the fly, to the trout upstream. Got one. Here we have a wild brown trout here in the Cherry Valley National Wildlife Refuge. It's one of the big inhabitants of the park, and it's a great thing to have here. Good indicators of clean water. Here in the refuge, the rule is for barbless hooks, and there's a reason for it. When you're catching and releasing these fish, half the time when they land in the net, the hook will come right out. It'll just fall out and you don't even have to do anything. I mean, it aids in a quick catch and release, and it's always important to keep your hands wet and keep the fish in the water until you're ready to show the fish or the camera's ready for a photo. But let's get this guy back. What I did back there when I caught that wild brown trout is I was fishing what's called a dry dropper, and it's a dry fly, and suspended underneath it is a small beadhead nymph, and it's a really good technique to use on these small streams here we have all over the Poconos. These trout are not rising to a turnable hatch that you could figure out, it's good to add the nymph or a soft hackle wet fly below it to give them something to feed on in the meantime until that hatch gets going. For us dry fly guys, we love to catch them up top always, but that's not always the case. Subsurface feeding is a great majority of the trout's feeding cycle. What I waited for is I basically used my dry fly as a sort of an indicator, and once I saw that go down, I just lifted gently up and over my shoulder to get a nice flex in the rod tip just to keep the pressure on. You don't need to snap it like a bass fisherman would or anything like that. Just that nice quick little of the wrist, and you want to keep the pressure on. You want to keep that good parabolic bend in the rod tip to keep the pressure on. But these barbless hooks, they will pop out, but not if you keep the pressure on them. And you could either, if it's a smaller fish, you could just strip the line back, or if it's a bigger fish and he takes a run, let him take all the line out, and then you could put him on the reel and fight him that way. And it's always good to have a net on you for catch and release trout fishing, because you want to scoop the fish in the net, especially these kinds of nets here, which are made out of rubber, because those mesh nets, they'll just cut into a fish's slime, and their slime coat is crucial to their survival. That prevents infection and bacteria from getting in. So you use this net, and then you can keep them in the water and keep them wet so they can breathe the entire time you're getting a camera ready for a photo, or if you have to get forceps to get the fly out. So if you combine this with wetting your hands, keeping the fish wet, and barbless hooks, these fish will go on forever.
It doesn't take a lot of equipment to get started in fly fishing. You just need a fly rod, a reel, a line, some leader, and some flies. It's a great place to get out, so we hope to see you around.